Hello, everyone. My name is Claire Bianchi, and I am the product manager for the Salesforce CLI, and I want to welcome you to Dreamforce. First of all, here's our forward-looking statement. Please make your purchasing decisions based off of tools and services we already have available. Everything I'm going to demo for you today is available. So what are we talking about today? We are talking about the Salesforce command line interface, and you ask, what is the Salesforce CLI and why should I care? The Salesforce CLI is an aggregation of multiple Salesforce APIs. So when you create a custom object, you have to create that API name. All of the different Salesforce APIs can be accessed via the command line interface. The Salesforce CLI is a command line interface that runs via the terminal or shell on your computer. In fact, we have 3 of them. We have one for Windows, we have one for Unix, and we have one for Mac, which is what I'm going to demo for you today. It's a scriptable environment, which means that you can automate things, and I'm going to talk a lot more about automation in a moment. It's also a place you can manage all of your authentication tokens in one place. So if you're working with a whole bunch of sandboxes, a production org, some scratch orgs, instead of having to keep a spreadsheet of all of your login information, we maintain all of that in the CLI, which makes it super exciting. And then it also allows you to move your metadata and your source data around environments. So now I'm just going to demo for you the basics of the CLI. Where's my terminal? All right, so I already have, can you see that? Oh, maybe. Come on. All right, so the way that the Salesforce CLI is structured is to invoke the Salesforce CLI, you will write SFDX every single time, which just stands for Salesforce Developer Experience. And the Salesforce CLI comes with a whole bunch of commands that are separated into topics, so they're easy to find. And the root command is force. So if you type in SFDX space force, you're going to see a beautiful ASCII Art DX cloud and then a whole bunch of links to resources. So if you ever get stuck in the CLI, you can just type in SFDX space force and you can get links to our developer guide, the command line reference, more information about our extension for VS Code. But what's even cooler and better about the Salesforce CLI is we have embedded help on every single command and topic. So if I run the same thing and I add -- help, it will show you all of the subtopics that live under force. So as you can see, we've got a whole bunch of subtopics that have commands associated with Apex. Commands allow you to work with Apex code. We've got auth commands that allow you to authenticate into orgs in a variety of different ways. And then we've got even org commands. These are super helpful because they allow you to spin up scratch orgs, which are empty orgs for testing. And then also the org commands just let me see what I'm currently logged into. So I'm going to see what I have already logged into. So this is going to show me all of the orgs that I've set up. So right now I have a Trailhead, Playground org, a Dev Hub, and then actually a testing org that I was using to blitz with my team the other day. And I actually have a Dev org that I want to log into. So I'm going to log into that from here. And that command is sfdx force auth web login, but I don't actually remember exactly how I need to set this up, so I'm going to do -h, which is our shortcut for help. And when I run -h, I get a whole bunch of information. So at the top, I'm going to see how I can set up that command and all of the things I can append to it, then a description of every single flag and their structure, as well as some examples of how I might structure that command. So if you're intimidated by using a CLI, have no fear, so was I, and I run a help pretty much with every single command. I'm going to talk about 2 of the flags that I use all the time with this command. One is -a, which allows me to set an alias for the authenticated org. So instead of having to remember the username, I just remember that the alias is demo, and I just want to log into my demo org. And then -s, which sets that org as the default org. So when I run commands going forward, they'll run against that org unless I specify a different org. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to set this as my default org, and I'm going to call this org demo. So this is uses an OAuth flow, and I'm going to log into my demo org and go back to my terminal. And we're logging in. And now I can close my browser. So I'm actually now logged into that org going forward through the CLI, and I can actually even open that org directly from the terminal. Here we go. All right, so those are the basics of the CLI. So if you were a little bit worried about using the terminal, I hopefully have made you feel like it's actually much more comfortable. We've appended help everywhere, and you can get going early, but you're still asking, why should I change the way I work? Why should I care? So the Salesforce CLI allows you to simplify your workflow and automate a lot of processes that you run often, so you can get rid of a lot of those small errors that you make often. It's also a prereq for DX features that are really powerful, such as scratch orgs, which are empty orgs that allow you to do a lot of testing on your own without introducing bugs into your production org. And then finally, what I think is the most exciting is it enables modern software development, such as continuous integration and version control. So if you don't know what those are, that's totally fine. Continuous integration allows you to run automated tests on changes that you make to your org before you push those changes into production. It's already automated, which means that you're not spending a ton of time sitting there QAing. It runs sort of on its own. And then version control, which allows you to have multiple people working on the same code base at the same time and not introducing a lot of conflicts into production. So how does the CLI do it? What makes it so powerful? It's scriptable. So you ask, what is a script? A script is exactly what it sounds like. It's a recipe. It's a set of commands that you want to run in a certain order so you have a repeatable process. And so you can use that recipe in a variety of different environments because you have it saved in a file. You can hand that recipe to someone else and they can use that recipe in their environments instead of having to do it all on their own. And you can also give that to your CI tool, and that'll have all of your automated tests in it. And you've already set that up, and the CI tool can run that script on its own. And finally, it allows you to run commands in sequences that need conditional branching. So based off of the results of the command, you can run a script that sort of reacts to the results of the command, which is really cool. So you're like, I've never written a script. How do I do that? I had never written a script until about a month ago, so I'm going to show you how to do it. Great. So I go back to my terminal. And so right now I am in the Dreamforce demo folder. And you'll notice that right now in that folder, I've got a demo script that I'll show you in a moment, and the Dreamhouse app. And I can actually create a new file directly from the terminal, which is what's so exciting about the terminal. It's a super malleable environment that allows you to do a ton of things. So if I type touch, which is the command to create a new file, test.sh, which is what I'm going to create, I've now created a file. And as you can see, I now have in this directory of df demo this new test file. So it's super easy. You can do a ton from it. So now I'm going to open my demo file. I'm going to open that in VS Code. You can use whatever code editor that you enjoy. I'm using VS Code because we have a great DX extension for it already. There's a Salesforce extension that does a ton of things. And I can open that directly from my terminal. Okay, so here's my demo script. This first line just tells the operating system that it's a bash script, and that's how it should be run. And then I'm going to ask it to say hello. I will save that. I'm going to run my script, which I just do period slash, and then the name of the script. Hello, Dreamforce. I've written my first script. But again, what's powerful about scripting is that I can write the same commands that I write in the terminal, in the script, and the terminal will react to them. So let's look to see that I actually logged into that org well by running that same command I ran earlier. sfdx force org list, which again shows me that list of commands. I'm saving my script again, and I will run it again. Hello, Dreamforce. And then we should see all of the orgs I'm authenticated into, including my demo org, We set the alias as demo, and we set it as our default org, which is what the U stands for. Oops. All right, so that's the intro to scripting. There's a ton of tips and tricks that we have from DX on scripting from previous Dreamforces, and I'll actually include links to 2 videos that we did at previous Dreamforces that go much deeper into how you can script. So now I hope that you are excited and you want to get your hands dirty, get into the terminal, try it out, and you're asking Claire, what do I do first? So if I were you, I would download VS Code and install the SFDX integration. One of the great things about VS Code is it has the CLI. You can run the CLI directly from VS Code, which means if you don't feel comfortable opening up the terminal on your computer, have no fear. Just do it from VS Code. So once you get that, sign up for a DevHub org. We have trial DevHub orgs that you can get, and the link is right up here. This allows you to create scratch orgs, which again are these empty orgs that you can do your automated testing in, make scripts much more powerful. And then I would clone the Dreamhouse repo. So this is a repo and an app that we have created for you as a testing ground. Go ahead and clone it from GitHub, play around with it. And what's really cool about that is it comes with a script already in it. So you can run that script and play around with it. So let me show you what that looks like. All right, so I go back to my terminal, and I just want to open up the Dreamhouse project. Okay, so here's my SFDX project. It's got a whole bunch of folders. It comes with a whole bunch of stuff in it, and you'll notice this folder with scripts. So in the scripts folder, there's this org init.sh. This comes already there. I didn't have to do anything. And what I can do, if I click Control tilde, I open the terminal directly in VS Code, and I can run the same commands, sfdx, force, --help, and as you will see, the same command that we ran earlier, and I'm actually going to run this script. So that is /script. So, it's .-scripts because it's in the scripts folder, and the name of the script is org init.sh, and I'm going to run the script. So the first thing that this script does is it creates that empty scratch org. Hopefully this should be, we have a lot of time. So it creates this empty scratch org, which is your testing environment. It's then going to push the Dreamhouse app into the org. So the org starts out empty, and we're going to push all of this new content into the org, which takes a moment. It's a really big org with a lot of great stuff in it. And then what we're going to do, as you can see from my script up here, is we're going to set a permission set, and then we're going to push sample data into the org. Because again, it starts off empty. We're going to push in all this metadata, and then we're going to push in a whole bunch of sample data that are actually properties. So the Dreamhouse app is it's taking a while to push. The Dreamhouse app is a fake real estate app. There we go. And so we're going to push a whole bunch of properties in it. So you see it sets our permission set. It adds all of our properties, and then it opens. I didn't touch anything. That was part of the script. And as you can see, if I go to Property Finder, all of the properties that I just pushed into this org, into this app, are already there. So that's what that script does, and you can go clone that repo today and start playing around with it and run that script. All right, so I hope that this got you excited about DX and the CLI, and that you can go ahead and get started. We have a ton of resources that can help you become a more advanced trailblazer on DX. We, of course, have a DX trail, getting started with Salesforce DX. We also have these 2 videos. So if you want to learn a lot more about scripting and the CLI, mastering the Salesforce DX CLI, and boost developer productivity with Salesforce DX CLI customized tools, that is a mouthful, are both great videos that were done, I believe, at TDX and Dreamforce Salesforce last year. And then we have a great blog series called Getting Started with Salesforce DX. And the third installment covers the CLI in great detail. And that's written by Zane Turner, one of our awesome developer evangelists. And finally, the Salesforce DX Developer Guide, which again, just walks you through the steps of how to get started. We have a ton of DX sessions here at Dreamforce this year. I'm going to plug one that I'm super excited about. It's called Build and Release a CLI Plugin Live. Anastasia and Thomas from my team, who actually build the CLI, are going to give that. And what they're going to do is they're going to build new CLI commands, Salesforce CLI commands, live in front of you. So what's amazing about the Salesforce CLI is we give you a ton of commands that you can use that you probably don't need anything new, but just because we're Salesforce, we let you customize everything, and that includes the Salesforce CLI, and they're going to show you how to do that. I believe that's tomorrow morning at 9:30, and then there's a second session on Friday. Thank you so much for all of your time. I'm not a developer by training. This was an intimidating process when I first started, and now I feel really, really comfortable in it. I've been at Salesforce 4 months. So if I can do it, you can do it too. Have a wonderful Dreamforce, and thank you so much.